Okay, we're going to do a quick talk here on the price of oil and where I think it's headed and such. Christopher Richards asked the question, does it make you nervous with oil that OPEC is basically just holding back supply to artificially inflate the price, and that with oil at $60 a barrel now producers are going to ramp up flooding the market? Also, why is oil so strong with electric market growing so fast? All very good questions. And so let's have a look at some of the things. First of all, let's talk about John Paul Getty, who was the 19th century, I guess 20th century oil guru. So the formula for success, according to J.P. Getty, Mr. Getty planning to make how to make his first billion in the oil patch: rise early, work hard, strike oil. The other important one is the meek shall inherit the earth, but not its mineral rights. So there is a formula that I use to calculate the future price of oil, and it goes into a big part of my strategy for taking on the gush and such. And so I'll get around to answering this question here in a second. So the oil and gas price prediction. There's four main big players: US, OPEC, China, and Russia. US, OPEC, China, Russia. And, there's a big relationship between US and OPEC and back that we buy and forth the oil. And, there's always a conflict with China. Russia and China are together, back and forth. They're supplying oil. And you get all these different relationships going. China and Russia and OPEC and back, and, vice versa. And everybody's fighting and going together. And then there's a big interrelationship. And so when I put all that into my model, my algorithmic model that I have, it'll show me the price of oil. And when I clicked the button, a number was supposed to come up, but I got a question mark. Hang on. Try that again. When I put the numbers in, I should get a number come out of what the future price of oil is going to be. Of course, I'm just kidding. So, those are, it's true that all those different pieces all fit together and they all interact with each other. But the question is, it's not that Chris Richard has the point, they're holding back supply, so they're artificially inflating the price. Well, that's not actually true. They're not artificially inflating the price. It's supply and demand. If you withhold supply, then the demand stays the same and actually is growing, then the price goes up. That's not artificially inflated. It's just good management, because of course there's economic formulas for all that. Marginal utility, whereby at some point you hit a breaking point that the less even though you're going to sell less oil, you're going to be making more money because the price goes up. And they try to find that, at least that, the top of the marginal utility to maximize their benefit. Now, don't forget, Biden has also not going to allow fracking on federal lands. I think he's going to stop oil leases on federal lands. So the U.S. will no longer be a net supplier of oil. Let's not worry about gas, because it's an infinite supply right now. But the oil is going to be reduced in the United States. Yet as we come into this next cycle with COVID ramping down, if that's what one does, if declining, and travel and everything coming back up, you're going to have bigger demand for oil and you're going to have less supply. And the OPEC will try to manage that. It is the swing producer. Now, one of the things that happens when oil goes up is you get as the price goes up, you have other suppliers of energy become more affordable. So you have a switch from oil to to wind or to electric or nuclear. I mean, there's also all the different areas to supply energy and transportation to the markets. And the big one, of course, coming is the EV, and EV should be 40% of the market in the next 5 years, electric vehicles. But don't forget, oil is making gasoline is not the only thing that oil is used for. Jet fuel as well. I mean, you're not going to have big jets flying on batteries for a while yet. But the gasoline for cars is not the only, it is part of the equation for sure, but it's not the only thing that oil is used for. Plastics, cosmetics, there's a lot of variety of uses that oil goes into making. I can't think of them all right now, but it doesn't matter. It's a lot. It's a basis of the economy. That's one. But two, it's going to take a long, long time to switch from oil to a non-oil economy. So we're more interested in the short term, not the longer term. And as it's a commodity, the markets trade it not so much looking forward as maybe as far as you might look to trade some of the tech stocks or biotech stocks and that kind of stuff. It's a closer in picture that the markets are looking at. And right now, oil companies at $60 a barrel are making a ton of money on oil, so the markets are strong here. So the point is that oil's around for a long time. There's a lot of different uses for oil, not just gasoline, and it's not artificially inflated. It's strictly supply and demand. Now, can they turn on the taps? They sure can, and they have in the past. As a matter of fact, at the bottom of the bear market, when COVID first hit, that's exactly what they did, because everybody was cheating and they wanted their market share, and that drove the price down in the futures actually to a negative number, but it traded it down to $10. So they can manipulate. Probably manipulate's not the correct word, but they do influence the market. They are the swing producer. They're a price giver, not a price taker. U.S. companies are all price takers, so they don't have the influence to change the market. So that will give that. I think that so the outlook for oil here still remains strong. We can see, gosh, this is the oil and gas producers, remains in this big, strong rising channel. And I mean, this thing's I think it trades up to 100 is my next stop for oil.